will be happy and you will have a chance to hum. All right. Again, that meaning of the present comes when he says, while humming in the now. That means you have to stay in the present, and if you are in the present, you will be happy and you will be humming. All right. So that is the first stanza where poet tells us about the man who, if he's floating on a river on two logs, and if he's going with the flow, if he's staying in the present, he will be happy, he will have a chance to hum. Now let's look at the second paragraph. Okay, and the second paragraph I will break here where there is another full stop. All right. Though if one log is tied to a camel who is also heading south along the bank at the same pace, all could still be well with the world, unless the camel thinks he forgot something and abruptly turns upstream. Then, oh. Now, what is that? This is another situation that the poem is asking us to imagine. Now, this man is tied to the log, he is standing there, right? Remember our diagram? Yes, I cannot draw a camel, but I will try, all right? So, this was our man, he's floating on two logs. Imagine if on one of these logs, okay, because there is no space here, sorry, one second. If on one of these logs is tied to a camel, okay, so this is his log, and if this is tied to a camel, now imagine that this is a camel. All right, so if one log is tied to a camel, it would still be fine, our author says. Okay, if one log is tied to a camel, it would still be fine as long as the camel is also heading downstream. All right, that means even if on one side you tie a camel that is a heavy being that has a mind of its own, it will still be fine as long as he is also heading south. That means as long as he is also going in the same direction, that is downstream along the bank of the river. And he should also be going at the same pace. The speed should not be different, because if the camel decides to go fast, then one log will go fast and the other one will be trailing behind, and it will be difficult for the man. So even if you have some burden that you are carrying with you, even if you have some sort of issues, all right, it would still be all right as long as you keep it balanced. All right, so as long as you keep those issues that you have, or any weight that or burden that you're carrying, as long as you keep it balanced, at the same pace, in the same direction, all could still be well with the world. There would be no issue, unless, where would the issue begin? Unless the camel thinks he forgot something. Okay, so what will happen when you're going somewhere and you think you've forgotten something? What happens? You go back, right, and abruptly turns upstream. He suddenly turns upstream and turns to go back. What will happen then? One log is going downstream, one log pulled by the camel will go upstream. What will happen to the man? Right? So that would not be a comfortable situation. So even if you are burdened by some issues, or even if you are carrying a weight with you, it's all right as long as you keep it balanced. All right, but if you start putting more weight on one side, that means you feel like you've forgotten something and you're going to build on more and more into that side, it will become heavier. It will not go at the same pace or in the same direction as your other log is going. All right, and then what will happen? Oh, right. So here these logs that the man is standing on. Okay, there are two logs that the man is standing on, and these logs actually signify a duality. Okay, duality means two. All right, there are two versions or two manners in which you can think of the duality. Life is always presented to you in duality or in binaries. All right, there is always black and white. There are always two sides to the coin. Right, so this dualities that man encounters in his life. What are the dualities that he might encounter? He might encounter life and death. Okay, this might be life, this might be death, which goes together. Okay, then you have body and soul, you have past and present, you have passion and reason. There are so many different dualities that you encounter in your daily life. All right, and the important thing is these dualities are a part of life. Okay, you cannot get rid of this fact that I will focus only on life and I will not think about that. That is not going to happen. Or I want only my body, I don't want my soul. That is also not going to happen. These two dualities are very much a part of your life, and you cannot really get rid of them, or you cannot just focus on one. All right, you have to take them both together. There needs to be a juxtaposition. Okay, Juxtaposition means when you put one on top of the other. For example, if you have lines like this, if this is life, you will, and this is death. Okay, what is juxtaposition? This is juxtaposition. That means you will mix it up in such a manner that they go together. All right. So the dualities that you encounter in life must not be dealt with separately. You have to juxtapose them to one another. All right. And that juxtaposition must be harmonious. Okay. That means don't give stress on one part. That means even when you're living, if you're only thinking about death more, then it won't be good. All right. So there must be a harmony in this juxtaposition, and you must not focus on the parts about this particular part or this particular part. You have to think about the whole. All right. So that is the idea that we get in this particular paragraph, where the poet is urging us to have a happy juxtaposition of these dualities that we encounter in life. All right. Don't put weight on one side, because then your journey will not be happy. You will not have a very smooth journey downstream. Okay, what is this journey downstream? Where is he going? He's not going anywhere. This journey downstream through the river is a metaphor for life. Okay, your journey through life is being symbolized through this journey down the river downstream. All right. So if the camel that is probably on one log, if he thinks that he wants to go that way instead of this way which this log is going, there will not be a harmony, right? There will be issues coming up. Then problem happens, right? So most minds, the third paragraph, okay, look at the third paragraph. It's a very stanza. All right, it's a very short stanza. Here he's giving us the general philosophy of his entire poem. He's telling us that most minds do not live in the present. That is the issue with our world. That is a problem with our world. Most of us, we do not live in the present. We are always either worried about the past, or we are fearful or anxious about the future. Okay, so these dualities that we encounter in life, they are opposites. They are not the same. All right, but instead of looking at those parts, we have to look at the whole. All right, we have to have a very balanced view of life. And even when we have a balanced view of life, we should enjoy the ride. Okay, don't think about the end. That in Bhagavad Gita they say that कर्म करो but पर फल की चिंता मत करो. Okay, I am talking in a very colloquial sense. That means you keep doing your work. Okay, don't think about the end. Don't think about what you're going to get at the end. Just keep doing what you are doing. All right. So here also it's the same philosophy. Keep living your life. Don't think about where is my life going. Am I going to heaven? Am I going to die? How am I going to die? At what point in time am I going to die? All those things are useless. Okay, just focus on the present, live your life. All right, and enjoy the ride that you're going on in this river of life. Okay, without thinking about the end. You should not have any remorse or nostalgia about the past. You should not be fearful and anxious about the future. Only then can you have a harmonious, joyful life. All right, and this humming that the poet talks about in this particular poem, this humming is a humming of happiness, of exhilaration, and it can only be achieved if you listen to these rules, if you follow these rules, that you live in the present and keep going downstream. Don't think about the past, don't think about the future, just live in the present. Okay, that is the philosophy that Rumi brings forward to us in this particular poem. All right, and this journey that we are going to, all right, this journey is not one where you don't think about the end, because at the end everyone that is formed by God will become one with God. All right, so most minds do not live in the present, and that's why they are never happy. They do not live in the present and can stick to a reasonable plan. Okay, so they do not have a plan about life. They cannot stick to a reasonable plan because they do not live in the present. So even though I have a plan that today I am going to do this, there might be so many other things that come into my mind that undermine my chance of doing that particular thing. All right, so that's why the minds who do not live in the present cannot stick to a reasonable plan. Most minds abruptly turn, okay, just like the camel who suddenly remembers something and abruptly turns back. So similarly, our minds also, they abruptly turn. Okay, I'm doing something nicely and suddenly I remember something that happened 10 years ago or 2 hours ago, and then I start feeling anxious or sad or whatever it is. All right, so That is the issue. You should live in the present. If you abruptly turn, then what happens? You undermine the chance of humming. Okay, you undermine the chance of humming means what? Happiness, right? So if you keep pondering about things past or things that are going to come, you will not be happy in the present. You will lose the chance of humming. Okay, so the chance of humming is this happy state that humans may live in if they focus only on the present. All right, so if you are always preoccupied with other thoughts, you will never have the ease and spontaneity. The journey that you are going through is going down the river. All right. But if you do not become carefree, if you do not hum during the way, it will not be a happy journey. It will not be a spontaneous or a journey of ease. You will have so many obstacles on the way, like the camel coming in and then one going up and one going down. So don't think about all that. The thing that he's telling us is, always be happy, and you can only be happy if you live only in the present. All right, let's look at what the text tells us about the poem to see that we have not missed out any of the points. Rumi's poems are known for their romantic and spiritual images. We saw, right? The images that he's bringing to us of the man on the log, of the camel, all right, of forgetting something, of all those things, of being in the present. Those are all images that are very, very spiritual, and at the same time, they give us a philosophy of life. The poem talks about the journey of a person. Okay, and this journey of a person is actually an allegory of the journey of life itself. This person is on two wooden logs flowing along a river. The two logs might signify two truths. Yes, we talked about the two dualities or binaries that we come. So though both of them are true, that means it doesn't mean that only life is true or only death is true. Both of those dualities are true. So they may stand for two truths, signifying life and death, body and soul, past and present into future, to be wielded in tandem. Tandem means in parallelly. Okay, the logs must always be parallel or tandem together. One should not go ahead or one should not stay back. All right, and only when they are in parallel or only when they are in tandem can you have a jovial life. If a person travels on two logs flowing with the currents downstream, he would be happy. Okay, so if his logs are parallel and if he is continually going downstream, this person will always be happy. Rumi says that if a log is tied to a camel, that we already discussed, right, it would still be fine, but suddenly if the camel recollects something which it had missed to take along the journey, then it might decide to travel back upstream. This will be in the opposite direction of the flow. All right, whenever you go against the flow, it's not difficult. Going with the flow is always easy. All right, and that is remember, the river is a metaphor for life. Life should always move ahead. You should never turn back and try to go back into the past or reclaim the past, because that is never going to be easy. You can't do that, right? And the happy route of the traveler will be disrupted if you do that. Rumi, through this poem, advises his readers to flow freely without any remorse of the past and anxiety of the future if they want to be happy. All right, so through this poem, he advises us that for people to be happy, they should always move freely without any remorse or ill feelings about the past. All right, or they should also not be anxious about the future. Only then can they achieve happiness. All right, so with that, I would like to end The Chance of Humming. It is quite a simple poem, but you just need to take a while and read it. All right, so now that I have analyzed the poem for you, I want you to stop this video, go into that PDF that I sent you the last day and read it once more and try and absorb whatever Rumi is trying to tell you. And then please take a look at the questions and we'll discuss the questions in the next class. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the session.